Hey everyone, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by the Great Clement to discuss the reveal of 3 new Persona games: Persona 3 Dancing Moon Knight, Persona 5 Dancing Star Knight, and Persona Q2, which will feature characters from Persona 5. So yeah, pretty good day for Persona fans, I'd say, but what do you think, Clement?
We're in the money! We're in the money!
I mean, I guess as soon as Persona 5 came out, we saw how much they milked 4 and 5 as just as popular. It's like, we all saw this coming.
As soon as I saw an article that said Persona 5 was the best-selling Atlus game in Japan, I knew right then and there, oh, they're gonna milk this. There are gonna be so many spin-offs. If you thought Persona 4 had a lot of spin-offs, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yep, I saw it coming, although I will say I was really hoping for another Dancing All Night, because I love Persona 4 Dancing All Night. It was so much fun, and of course, love the music for Persona 5. Enjoying the characters. Haven't beaten the game yet, so I'm still working my way through that. But I didn't beat Persona 4 either, and I still love that game or its dancing game. But it is a surprise to see that they're like, yeah, we're gonna milk Persona 3 a little bit more too.
Oh yeah. I expected, like, a Dancing All Night for 5. I didn't think we were going to get a Dancing All Night for 3, so when I heard that there were 2 game announcements for that, I was like, whoa! Because Persona 3 has some of my favorite soundtrack of the series, and to hear some great, like, remixes that are all high energy and great for dancing, oh my god. That has me more excited than Persona 5, honestly. I want to play Persona 3 Dancing All Night way more than 5.
Well, I think I'm kind of in agreement, because when I watched the trailers for these games, I watched Persona 3 first. I'm like, all right, this is fun. This sounds really good. I kind of understand what's going on, because I know a little bit about Persona 3. I've never actually played it. It actually was my intention, once I finally do beat Persona 5, to go back and play Persona 3, mainly because it's going to be rough going back, just because I can't control my characters, and I gotta keep that in mind when I go back to play that game.
Yeah, for sure. It's the first... it's the third, technically. Well, actually, it's the fourth, It's the fourth, technically, because there were 2 Persona 2s, but... But it is the first one to introduce, like, the calendar and all of the social simulation kind of stuff going on. And it's definitely... Persona 4 improved a lot of things. It's not just the battle system, it's also the fact that, like, social links can reverse really easily. You can't have a committed single girlfriend, you have to have a harem lifestyle in that game.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh.
Every time you max out a social link with a girl, you are dating them.
Wow.
The main character in Persona 3 is a player.
No kidding. Isn't that frowned upon in Persona 5? Like, can't you get in trouble for that?
Oh, yeah. Both 4 and 5.
Can't get away with that anymore, so whoops.
So it's a weird one to go back to, but it's still, like, one of the best games in the series. It's definitely the reason, like, Persona became so popular, was because 3 was so good, and to see that come back, and I hope they bring back the same voice actors, like they did with Persona Arena, because with Arena, they still got, like, Michelle Ruff, Karen Strassman, all the people who were in 3 to come back for the fighting game. And if they still bring back the original voice actors for the dancing game, and there's probably going to be a gigantic story mode to justify why they're dancing. I don't know why they're dancing, but we'll get an answer, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait for that. That's going to be awesome.
Oh, I'm so hyped for it, because that's the thing that kind of threw me off, as I watched Persona 3's trailer, and then I watched Persona 5's trailer. I'm like, Persona 3 has the better music. Like, I enjoyed that trailer way more. Like, I know the characters more for Persona 5, still looking forward to it, but even in the trailer, the music was better for Persona 3.
I mean, I love Persona 5 soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
I think that soundtrack is incredible. I just gotta see more of the remixes. I gotta see more of what they got.
Just on a first impressions basis, yeah. I'm definitely not saying one way or the other, like, one's better than the other. I mean, I'm gonna get both, let's be honest here.
Oh, definitely. You were, like, the biggest pioneer for Dancing All Night when it came out.
Yeah, it was weird, because I actually got a Vita just to play this game. I was that excited for it, because I was hearing the music, and I remember liking the music so much, and I was hearing the remixes, and I'm like, I'm kind of down for this. Plus, I'll actually be able to play Persona 4 Golden, and wow, thunder.
Oh my god.
Apparently, do not speak the name Persona 4 Golden. Holy crap.
Wow.
We speak of that in hushed tones around here. Oh, goodness. But yeah, but I still have only ever played Dancing All Night, and my God, I love that game. I remember playing that on the Vita and just laying in bed, putting in my headphones, and ended up, like, I'll look back at the clock and it'd be like 4 a.m. I'm like, where'd the time go? And it's just, I actually, like, I'm not usually one for rhythm games. Like, I'll enjoy them enough, but I don't try to max it out. I usually like, let's play on easy, maybe get up to normal. No, with Dancing All Night, I was working to get to the hardest difficulty because I was enjoying that system so damn much and replaying everything. And I unlocked everything, I just didn't quite get to the point where I was proficient with at the max difficulty.
Oh, I agree with that. Like, I've played a lot of rhythm games, whether it was Parappa the Rapper, Hatsune Miku, Guitar Hero with a controller, because I've tried that. And I definitely think that, like, Dancing All Night has a really fun, addictive gameplay system. I think this is one of the best rhythm games I've ever played. I was really caught off guard how much I was getting into it when I played it, because again, I got a Vita pretty much for Persona as well. I got it for Golden and for Dancing All Night, so Atlus alone is selling Vitas.
Yeah, apparently. Although I am grateful, like I'm so split. Like, do I want to get it on Vita so I have it on the go? But even though I don't really take it on the go, it's mainly just me playing it in bed. Or should I just get it on PS4 and just crank the volume?
Yeah, that's another thing. I'm really happy it's going to be on both PS4 and Vita, because that's the thing about Dancing All Night. I always told people it was great, but it was like, yeah, but I'm not buying a Vita. There's no games for it. I'm not going to get the Vita just for one dancing game. I'm like, oh, but Dancing All Night's so fun. And now, the PlayStation 4, with all the great games like Bloodborne and stuff, now they have an option to play a Dancing All Night game. And I don't know if Atlus plans to port Persona 4 Dancing All Night to PS4 later, but if they do, that'd be a great thing.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they didn't. And I'll be honest, I'm a sheep. I'll pre-buy it. Just because just having it on there, I'm sure they'd add more songs or do something extra for it. And yeah. Oh, goodness. It's just great to, like, it really is a celebration of music. And the music is such a big part of Persona. Like, I am not the biggest Persona person out there. Like, I've dabbled in each of the games a little bit, and I'm trying to get through them as much as possible. I'm dedicated to finishing Persona 5, but still, even just playing a little bit, you know how much of the music counts for these games, and just hearing these songs and even the dance moves and the characters going through them, it's fun. It really carries their personalities well. Just
think about all the memes that came out when the battle theme dropped. Like, all the people who constantly reference the "you didn't see it coming," you know.
Yeah, it's perfect. It really just is that great earworm in there, and to just turn it into something that you can play at any time is just so perfect. Plus, you have all the costumes, all the different characters you can play as, that you can have different styles, match them up in different ways. Like, there's actually a fair bit of replayability, because I don't believe Persona 4 Dancing All Night had a huge soundtrack. I think it was around 40 songs.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, and there was a lot of, like, a kind of repeats, but I mean, when they're able to take the Junes theme and turn it into a dance song, sure, you've sold me.
And there was also, like, a lot of challenges you could add to it to make it a little bit more challenging, but it would get you a better payout, so you could get a better score and stuff. Like, there'd be a way to, like, sort of hide certain rhythm things so that you can't really see them, or reverse them, so, like, you'll see it one way, but you have to press it another way. There's a lot of things you could do to boost your score, and there's a lot of different challenges you can impose on yourself. And again, the game has lots of customization where you can dress up the characters in any costume they wore in the games. A lot of crazy, wacky costumes that were made just for the game. There was lots of DLC costumes and DLC wigs and different things that came out for Dancing All Night that, you know, there's a lot of ways to play the game. There's a lot of ways to redo a song and not have the same experience, you know?
Definitely. And a full-fledged single-player mode. Like, you don't get that very often in rhythm games, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
Like, outside of Parappa or Guitar Man or something like that. But, I mean, granted, you're mainly listening to dialogue being spoken back and forth for about 15 minutes, and then like a 3-minute song, and then go on.
I'd say more than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
some of those cutscenes went on for like an hour.
Yeah, they were pretty excessive, but you know, I still enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, it was a silly plot. Like, let's help Rize get back into her the pop idol stuff. We're gonna join in with her because somehow we all know how to dance and we got this crash course. And then we gotta save other pop idols.
We can't physically attack the shadows, but maybe if we're dance, they will lose.
Oh gosh, and I do like that little, like, at the end of every song in Persona 4, they, did the whole card thing where they could summon their actual persona and finish it off. I can just imagine Persona 3 now, like, pulling out the gun, like, psh, and they even have that in the trailer, how the main character ends his song, and ends his dance by doing the shooting himself in the head motion.
I just can't wait to see the Personas rocking out a guitar.
Yes, I love seeing all the different instruments that they had. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, looks great. I can't wait to play these games.
Mm-hmm. No, I am super excited, and honestly, it's not that long of a wait. Depends on how long it takes to translate, because it's coming out spring 2018 in Japan. Both of them are, actually. That's a crazy thing. They seem to be releasing pretty close together. They almost seem like partner games, sort of like Pokemon, just because of the names. We got Dancing Moon Knight and Dancing Star Knight. So I wonder if they'll interact in any way.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of an interesting idea. If, like, maybe you own both copies, they read the memory, and, like, maybe you can share things. I don't know.
Maybe have Persona 3 characters dancing to Persona 5 characters, or the songs, or something, vice versa.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be kind of cool. I'm sure there's ways to take care of that. But yeah, spring 2018 for Japan, I'd be really happy if it got out by the summer of 2018 for us. Don't know if that'll happen.
I mean, we waited quite a while when Persona 5 came out in Japan. We had to wait like 5-6 months, so...
Yeah, because they got it, September of 2016?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got it May or March, somewhere around there. It's still a while. But I'm willing to wait, because I just hope we get it. That's all I care about. And I think we probably will, especially if it's going to be on PS4 as well.
Oh, I'm sure. Like, we got Q, we got Dancing All Night. If they're going to bother making those come to North America, I get the feeling they're going to come here, too.
Yeah. Speaking of Q, though, we also got our third game announcement, which is Persona Q2, which isn't actually the official name. It's just sort of a teaser site that's up, and that's sort of what it's being referred to as. Basically to let you know that it's in the Persona Q series, and it's going to be a sequel, and it's going to feature Persona 5 characters.
It's also coming from the 3DS.
Yeah, and another sign that the 3DS is still alive, which is surprising.
And, Persona Q was on the 3DS, so it probably is just going to look exactly the same as the first one did. I assume they're going to have the chibi bobblehead design that Persona Q was all about, so all your favorite Persona 5 characters are going to look really cutesy, even if they're saying some really dirty, disgusting things every now and then.
Yeah, probably. I've never actually played Q. I know it was a big deal at the time because it was the Persona 3 characters and Persona 4 characters meeting up. People were really excited about that. I actually own it, but it's one of those things where I want to beat 3 and 4 before I get to Q.
It was definitely more influenced by the Etrian Odyssey series of games. It still had a lot of Persona elements to it, but it didn't really play like any of the other Persona games. A huge emphasis on dungeons and puzzles, and a lot of people were a little bit frustrated with that because I remember Dungeons 3 and onwards certainly got really task-heavy and backtracky, and I remember not thinking much of the dungeons. I remember just being like, oh, can this end already? When it came to the dungeons. I thought the combat was fine. It's definitely a challenging game. It was not easy. Like, even if you put it on the easiest setting, I still think you're in for a really challenging experience that it's not going to hold your hand. I thought Persona Q was plenty challenging. But, yeah, it was nice to have Persona 3 and 4 characters. There's a lot of fan service stuff. There was actually a fun, wedding scene where depending on in the second dungeon you answer a series of questions throughout that entire dungeon. You're being asked like all this personal romance stuff. It actually felt like Catherine a little bit. And at the end of the dungeon, all the answers that you've given tabulate which of the Persona 3 and 4 characters is your soulmate. And then you and that character have to walk down the aisle and almost get married before you take on the Dungeon 2 final boss. And
okay, that's pretty great.
That part was actually pretty great, just because if you had a specific ship that you really liked in Persona 3 or 4, there was a really fun scene involving that ship where they're stuck holding hands. They have to go down the aisle and.
Well, I know that you're a big proponent of Chie. Did you make sure you got Chie, or is it somebody else?
Well, I just answered the questions truthfully. I didn't know that's where it was ending up, and I got kanji.
Of course!
So me and kanji are the one true pairing.
You heard it here first, folks. Oh my god!
It can be
that's
pretty
amazing.
cute and charming, but I guess one criticism people had of the Q game was that it limited their personality to one base thing. Mm-hmm. Like Chie in the original Persona 4, she liked eating meat. You know, that was something that people took notice of, but it wasn't a big part of the plot. She wasn't saying in every single scene, "I love meat. Let's eat meat." But in Q, that's what she was. Like, literally, almost all the time she would reference meats. Akihiko from Part 3 would always reference, like, working out and protein, when he would barely mention protein in the original Persona 3.
Wow.
So, a lot of people didn't really like the writing because it turned Teddy into a horn dog. I mean, he was always a horn dog, but more so. Like, ×2.
Oh, gosh.
It just took all of their little quirks and, like, multiplied them by 5, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like the only reason it was rated M for mature was just because Mara, the penis persona, was in it.
Yeah, I mean, that would do that. Let's be honest.
I mean, there's no swearing, there's no nudity.
Yeah, Mara does sort of stand out.
But, it's weird. I kind of recommend Q, but I feel like some people may be put off by the dungeons and the combat system, because it doesn't really play like a Persona game at all. But if you love the Persona characters a lot, you should check out Q. I'm hoping that Q2 is going to take a lot of the criticisms to heart, and they're probably going to tone down the dungeons, or at least make them a lot more convenient, a lot more fun to go through. Because you gotta write down and memorize a lot of stuff with, like, Dungeon 3. You really have to pay attention to things in Dungeon 4, and it's very strict, these dungeons. I remember just kind of being frustrated by the experience by the end of it, but if Persona Q 2 has better dungeons throughout, I think I'll enjoy it a lot more, but I'm curious if they're going to team up with Persona 4 characters, Persona 3 characters, God forbid, 1 and 2 characters? I don't know.
Why God forbid? The characters in 1 and 2 not great, or?
They're good. I'm just saying that, like, they rarely reference 1 and 2 anymore.
That is true. That is true. We don't really hear about them much. I wouldn't mind going back to them, but it's so different that I'm not quite sure how I'd feel about the series at that point. I can sort of envision this as just being like, here's 3, 4, and 5, you know? Just sort of combine them in some way, in some wacky way. They always find some way to make these plots work. Obviously, I don't know how 3 and 5 end, so who knows how they'll pick up from Dancing All Night, but I'm sure they'll come up with something.
And for all we know, 5 could also just be the 5 characters. Maybe there is no crossover. Maybe it's just the 5 people, which, I don't know, that'd be a little disappointing after the first game. You want to have those crossover, crazy shenanigans going on. But,
yeah, seeing certain characters interact and how they get along.
And Persona Q took place during both 3 and 4. It was like a time gate thing. It was like it was just sort of like, imagine that one random day in Persona 3 and 4. Oh, they actually went through a portal and met with the other characters.
Oh, one of those. It's like, you know, somewhere in between these adventures.
Yeah, pretty much. So I imagine 5's probably going to take place in the middle of the adventure, probably not afterwards, but...
Not really reference it. I was actually surprised how much they were referencing things that happened in Persona 4 during Dancing All Night.
Oh, yeah.
They expected you to have that game beaten. You could still enjoy it. You just might spoil yourself on a few things. I don't think anything major. I still don't know the overall plot for 4, so I wouldn't worry too much if you haven't beaten 3 and 5. If you still want to just try out Dancing All Night and enjoy the music. I think it's just more minor things.
The only spin-off that mentioned who the killer is in 4 is the fighting game. I don't think Dancing All Night or the Q mentioned who the killer is in 4,
No.
So...
Yeah, Dancing All Night definitely doesn't. So I have no idea who the killer actually is in 4. So still got that mystery to look forward to whenever I eventually go back to that game as well. I have quite the backlog. We all have quite the backlog at this point. Oh boy, but all things considered, I am super looking forward to these games. I am so happy to see the Dancing All Night series continue with 2 games, not just 1. And you know, if I get a chance, I might check out Q2. It's not high on my list, but it's cool that they're still continuing that series. And well, let the milking begin, so we can look forward to another fighting game eventually once Arc System Works is done with Dragon Ball Fighters.
Yeah. I'm going to be getting them, all 3 of them. I'm a Persona sheep. I will definitely be there day 1 to look at those games. And Dancing All Night, I'm definitely the most excited for. Like, Q's kind of, might be good, might be bad, I don't know. But Dancing All Night, the remixes, I need to hear the soundtrack today.
No, I know. Like, I when I was going for walks, I actually put my Vita in my pocket and walked with the soundtrack going so I could listen to these songs. I'm a bit addicted. I was a bit addicted to Dancing All Night, and I'm looking forward to getting just as addicted with these 2. But alright, I think that covers it for our Persona discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And Clement, where can they find you at?
I have a YouTube channel where I do Let's Plays and random things here and there. It's youtube.com/ClementJ642. I'm currently on a spring break, or summer break right now, but I am going to be doing a Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII retrospective in the meantime, so that will drop at some point. August 23rd and then September 23rd. If you're curious, if you're interested.
I've been watching them. They've been excellent up to this point, so I can't see any reason for them to drop in quality. They've been kind of a blast from the past to go through all of those again. So that's been fun. And actually, if I remember correctly, you're doing a commentary on Persona 5 right now with the guys at Brain Scratch, correct?
Yes. Brain Scratch Comms is a commentary group that I tend to collaborate with every now and then. They've probably guessed it in a lot of GameXplain videos at this point. But me, Lewis, Ryan, and our friend Carolina are doing a playthrough of Persona 5. I'm actually recording more of that later tonight, and that's uploading every weekend at Brain Scratch. So if you want to hear me talk over Persona, that's where you go to find that.
Awesome. And of course, make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Persona and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.
Toodles!